In the heart of a vast kingdom surrounded by towering mountains and deep, enchanted woods, there lived a young princess named Elara. Unlike other royals, Elara had a curious spirit. She preferred exploring the kingdom's forests and hidden glades over attending royal banquets. Her favorite place was the Forbidden Forest, a place shrouded in mystery, where ancient trees whispered secrets, and shadows danced under the moonlight. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the forest in hues of gold and purple, Elara ventured deeper than she ever had before. Her heart raced with excitement, for she had heard rumors of a magnificent creature living within these woods, a dragon. In her kingdom, dragons were considered fearsome beasts, creatures of destruction that were hunted relentlessly by her father's knights. But Elara had always been fascinated by tales of dragons. She did not believe them to be the monsters the kingdom made them out to be. As she pushed through the dense underbrush, she stumbled upon a clearing. There, in the center, lay a massive creature, its scales shimmering like emeralds even in the fading light. The dragon was wounded. Its wing was torn, and its breathing was labored. Elara's heart ached at the sight. She knew the right thing to do was to alert the knights, but something deep inside her told her to stay. Ignoring the fear that gnawed at her, she took a cautious step forward. The dragon's golden eyes snapped open, fixing her with a gaze that was both fierce and weary. But instead of attacking, it simply watched her. Gathering her courage, Elara spoke softly, "I'm not here to hurt you. I want to help." The dragon seemed to understand her words, or perhaps it simply sensed her kindness. It laid its head back down, allowing her to approach. With gentle hands, Elara began tending to its wounds, using herbs and potions she had learned about from the village healer. As the night grew darker, Elara stayed by the dragon's side, whispering soothing words. The dragon, in turn, began to trust the young princess, lowering its guard for the first time in years. Elara returned to the forest every night, bringing food, water, and medicine. The dragon, whom she named Arion, grew stronger with each passing day. During their time together, they formed an unspoken bond. Elara learned that Arion was not the terrifying creature of legends, but a noble being with a soul as old as the mountains. Arion, in turn, was enchanted by Elara's kindness and bravery. He shared with her stories of ancient times when dragons and humans coexisted in peace, before fear and greed drove them apart. He spoke of a prophecy, one that foretold of a human who would mend the rift between their worlds. As the days turned into weeks, Elara found herself drawn to Arion in ways she couldn't explain. His presence was a comfort, a thrill, something that filled her heart with a longing she had never known. But she knew that if anyone discovered their secret, it would mean death for Arion and disgrace for her. One evening, as they watched the stars together, Arion turned to her with a question that caught her off guard. "Why do you risk everything for me, a creature your people hunt?" Elara hesitated, her cheeks warming. "Because I see you for what you truly are. Not a monster, but a soul who deserves to live freely." Arion's eyes softened, and for a moment, the space between them seemed to hum with a magic that neither of them could deny. Their peaceful days came to an abrupt end when the king, Elara's father, announced a grand hunt for the last of the dragons. Rumors had reached the castle of a great beast hiding in the forbidden forest, and the king, eager to prove his strength, declared that whoever captured the dragon would be rewarded with riches beyond imagination. Elara's heart sank at the announcement. She knew that it was only a matter of time before the knights discovered Arion's hiding place. That night, she rushed to the forest to warn him. "You must leave," she urged, her voice thick with desperation. "The knights are coming for you." Arion shook his great head. "I cannot leave. There is a darkness growing in the kingdom, one that only I can stop." Confused, Elara pressed him for answers, but Arion remained cryptic. "There is more at stake than you realize, Elara. But I will not let you face the king's wrath alone." Before she could argue, the sound of trumpets echoed through the forest. The knights were close. Arion spread his wings, now healed, and with a mighty roar, took to the skies, carrying Elara with him. Together, they fled into the night, leaving the kingdom behind, unaware that their journey was just beginning. High above the clouds, Arion flew with Elara on his back. They traveled far beyond the borders of the kingdom, where the air was thin and the stars seemed close enough to touch. Arion was leading them to the sacred mountain, a place said to hold the key to the prophecy he had spoken of. As they approached the mountain's peak, a fierce storm rolled in, threatening to tear them apart. Lightning crackled around them, but Arion pressed on, determined to reach the summit. Elara held on tight, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. When they finally landed, they found themselves at the entrance of an ancient temple carved into the mountain. Inside, they discovered a hidden chamber filled with glowing crystals. In the center was a massive mirror, its surface swirling with magic. "This is the mirror of truth," Arion explained. "It will show us what we need to do to save both our worlds." Elara approached the mirror, her reflection morphing into visions of a future where humans and dragons lived in harmony. But the vision was shattered by images of war and destruction, the kingdom falling into ruin if they failed. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a fiery glow over the sacred mountain, Elara and Arion prepared to leave the temple. The visions from the mirror of truth were still fresh in their minds, guiding their next steps. However, they were unaware that danger lurked just beyond the temple's entrance. Hidden among the rocks and shadows were knights from the kingdom, led by none other than Elara's own brother, Prince Cedric. Cedric had been tracking them ever since Elara's disappearance from the castle. Consumed by a sense of duty to their father, he saw it as his mission to bring his sister back and slay the dragon she had betrayed the kingdom for. He signaled his knights to encircle the entrance, ensuring there would be no escape. "Step forward, dragon." Cedric's voice boomed, breaking the stillness of the night. Arion and Elara turned to see the glint of swords and the determined faces of the knights. Cedric emerged from the shadows, his eyes cold and resolute. "Sister, what have you done? You've sided with the very creature we've sworn to destroy." Elara's heart sank at the sight of her brother, the one person she had always believed would understand her. "Cedric, please listen to me," she pleaded, stepping forward. Arion is not a monster. He's here to save our kingdom, not destroy it. The real threat is the hatred and fear that blind us. But Cedric was unmoved. You've been bewitched by this beast, he spat, his sword raised. Step aside, or I will do what must be done. The tension in the air was thick, like a taut bowstring ready to snap. The knights closed in, swords drawn, their eyes fixed on Arion. Seeing no other way out, Arion spread his wings, preparing to defend both himself and Elara. But he hesitated, not wanting to harm the brother of the woman he had grown to love. A fierce battle broke out as Cedric lunged at Arion, swinging his sword with a fury fueled by betrayal. Elara, desperate to protect Arion, stepped between them. "Stop this madness," she cried, but her voice was drowned out by the clash of steel. The knights charged, and Arion fought back with bursts of magical fire that lit up the night. Yet, he held back his full strength, unwilling to hurt Elara's kin. Cedric, blinded by rage, saw this as a sign of weakness. He aimed a deadly blow at Arion's heart, but at the last moment, Elara threw herself in front of the strike. Time seemed to slow as Cedric's sword pierced through Elara's side. The world around them fell silent. Cedric's eyes widened in horror as he realized what he had done. "Elara, no," he cried, dropping his sword. Arion let out a roar that shook the mountains, unleashing a protective barrier of magic around them. The knights were thrown back, stunned by the force of the dragon's power. Cedric, kneeling beside his fallen sister, was torn between duty and guilt. "Save her, please," Cedric begged, tears streaming down his face. Arion, his golden eyes filled with anguish, did not hesitate. He wrapped Elara in his wings, channeling the last of his healing magic to mend her wounds. A soft glow enveloped her, and slowly, her breathing steadied. Elara opened her eyes, weak but alive. "Cedric, we can't keep living in fear. The prophecy, it's not about destruction. It's about healing, about finding a new path," she whispered. Cedric, humbled and shaken, nodded slowly. He realized that his sister's love for the dragon was not a betrayal but a bridge to something greater. "I was wrong," he admitted. "Let me help you." Together, the three of them, princess, dragon, and prince, made a pact to stop the king's hunt and bring peace between dragons and humans.
With Cedric now on their side, Elara and Arion returned to the kingdom, where the tension between humans and dragons had reached a boiling point. The skies above the castle were darkened by the wings of dragons ready to fight for their freedom, while the ground below was filled with knights and soldiers preparing for war. The king, driven by his obsession to rid the world of dragons, had summoned every last knight in his realm. Elara, Cedric, and Arion flew over the battlefield on the dragon's back, the sight of them causing gasps of shock and confusion among the troops. The king, standing atop his castle walls, was furious at the sight of his daughter and son with the very creature he had sworn to kill. "Father, stop this madness!" Elara shouted as they landed before the castle gates. "We've been blinded by fear for too long. Dragons are not our enemies." The king's face twisted with rage. "You've been deceived, Elara. These beasts will bring nothing but ruin. They must be destroyed." He signaled for his archers to fire, but Cedric stepped forward, raising his sword not in attack, but in a gesture of peace. "Father, listen to her," Cedric urged. "I have seen the truth. The dragons are not our foes. There's a prophecy that speaks of a union between our worlds, one that can save us all." The king hesitated, his gaze flickering between his children and the dragon. But the years of hatred and fear were too deeply ingrained. He ordered the attack, and a rain of arrows filled the sky. In a desperate move, Arion unleashed his magic, creating a shimmering barrier that protected them. But the strain was too much for Arion. The magic he had used to heal Elara had left him weakened, and the barrier began to falter. Seeing the dragons struggle, Elara knew they needed something more powerful to stop the battle. She remembered the vision from the Mirror of Truth, the power of unity. "Everyone, lay down your weapons." Elara's voice rang out, amplified by the remnants of Arion's magic. "The prophecy says that only through unity can we survive. Please, listen to me." For a moment, there was silence. Then, one by one, the knights lowered their swords. The dragons circling above paused, their roars dying down. The king, seeing his soldiers hesitate, was filled with confusion and anger. But then, a single dragon landed beside Elara, an elder dragon with scales of silver and eyes that spoke of ancient wisdom. "This war will destroy us all," the elder dragon said, its voice echoing in the minds of everyone present. "But if we choose peace, there is hope." The king, seeing the devotion of his children and the willingness of the dragons to negotiate, finally relented. He lowered his sword, and the armies on both sides followed suit. A powerful magic swept through the land, a wave of light that healed the wounds of both humans and dragons. It was the fulfillment of the prophecy, a new era where humans and dragons would live in harmony. The once fearful kingdom became a beacon of unity, with Elara and Arion at the heart of this newfound peace. As the dust settled, the people cheered, celebrating the end of the war and the dawn of a new age. Elara turned to Arion, her heart full of joy. "We did it," she whispered, tears of relief in her eyes. Arion, now in his human form, took her hand. "We did it together," he replied with a smile. In the years that followed, Elara and Arion ruled the kingdom side by side, proving that love and unity could overcome even the deepest of fears. And the legend of their love story lived on, reminding future generations that sometimes, the greatest strength lies not in power, but in the courage to love and forgive.